You might not think about your heart every day, but it's the reason you can think clearly, move with grace and strength. It keeps your energy steady and your body able to do what you ask of it. How you care for your heart shapes how you live. We experience 1,000 waking minutes on average every day. How are you spending yours? I'm Dr. Wendy Bazilian, and you're listening to 1,000 Waking Minutes. I can't wait to connect with you here with practical ways to eat well, move daily, and be healthy, to optimize every waking minute you live for a happier, healthier life. Thank you for sharing some of your waking minutes with me today. Let's get started.
I'm saying yes to better days, yes. I'm on my way, yes. It's gonna be okay, yeah.
Hello and welcome to 1,000 Waking Minutes. I'm Dr. Wendy Bazilian, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. You know, it's February, and it is the month that has a way of bringing the heart into focus, of course. We see it everywhere, in art, in conversation, with all the red that we see in all the gift shops and even the drugstores these days, in anticipation of Valentine's Day, and in reminders for us to wear red for awareness for heart health. So I want to take this into the heart health arena. And, you know, the heart is something that has always had meaning in culture, and I want to look at it there because our heart is a central focus of our lives, and what keeps us alive, frankly. So if you think back, or if you've read Shakespeare any time in the recent past, any of the sonnets that are, you know, so lovely and have such a special rhythm to them, Shakespeare wrote about hearts that loved and bled in the same breath in one of the sonnets. A heart that carries courage and longing and devotion, representing vitality in every single way. It holds the grief and the passion. It holds the extremes of emotion. And if we think about that, you know, that's not the physiological. That gets at the feelings and our emotion, the emotional core of the body. And if we look to artist Jim Dine, someone I have seen but was just recently introduced to, amazingly, by our elementary school art teacher, and I had the opportunity to be in with my daughter in art class with Mrs. Johansson. She introduced us to Jim Dine and his fascination and portrayal of the heart again and again over decades of his art. I encourage you to take a look at it if you don't know it already. You'll probably recognize some of it. And his art isn't like the tidy Valentine's heart, although it very often has, you know, a very clear shape of a heart, but it's textured and layered, often imperfect. And we got to do that a little bit in the class, or at least I got to help some of the students do it. It's expressive and human. And he seems to treat the heart like a vessel for experience to show us that. And so I think that the image of the heart, even though it doesn't look like the fist size actual heart with its chambers in our body, it has real impact and meaning, and it connects with us. Because biologically, the heart is not a symbol. It's actually our movement. It's a pump. It's an organ. And heart health is not about primarily avoiding a single event. You know what I mean? A heart attack or any of those kinds of events that we are trying to stave off. But it really is about how the body moves through life. It moves through what it needs. It moves through today. And while our heart is pumping blood every single second, whether you're awake or asleep, through the network of vessels right to the edges of your lips and the tips of your fingers, everywhere, it reaches every organ, every muscle, every cell. And that circulation, it delivers life. It delivers oxygen, it delivers glucose, hormones, immune cells, nutrients, you know, the fighters that come in for our immune defense. And it also removes the waste. It is one of the organs that helps remove waste and bring things back to other organs that help bring it out of the body. Our heart supports temperature regulation, the 98.6 or thereabouts. It literally helps us dissipate when we have extra heat to the skin and then we sweat or it evaporates. It supports our brain function. Our circulation is smooth and responsive. If you have variations in it, you feel it, and we worry or we check it out. When you run, it starts to pump harder and you feel it. But the body works so efficiently. And when circulation is in flow, the flow of circulation, generally things are moving around healthy. But when it meets some resistance, if our vessels get stiff, or if some arteries start to have buildup of plaque, or narrowing, it makes the flow a little bit impeded or a lot impeded over time, depending on our health status and what doctors and why they check out the markers like lipids and cholesterol, and why sometimes they have to dig deeper, so to speak, with other kinds of tests. The body then has to work harder to accomplish the same thing. And that's the piece we don't always talk about when we're trying to understand and make sense of why cholesterol matters or why some of these matters. Your arteries are not rigid plumbing. They are living tissue. They expand and contract. And guess what? You have some say in how well they do that. And not just, in how well you've lived forever, but what you do today and over the course of time. And that's why typically you can see change when we make change if you need to. Our blood vessels even respond acutely, meaning in a short period of time, to nitric oxide, which it can be found in certain foods. And it's a molecule that helps our blood vessels relax. They adjust certainly to exercise, and they can open up and become more responsive. And certainly our heart gets pumping and the flow becomes faster. And they respond to stress. Thankfully, when you get healthy sleep or any sleep, they recover as well. The lining of our vessels, which is called the endothelium, it plays a central role in cardiovascular health. And when it's functioning well, the blood flows easily. So that's something you can picture, sort of like the highway under its best conditions. You're like, wow, this is, almost a pleasure. I don't know if driving's ever really a pleasure, but almost when it flows freely. But when it's irritated or there is a bottleneck, our flexibility and also the flow declines. And that's why modern heart science, cardiovascular science, looks beyond the single cholesterol numbers and looks broader now. And it looks at things like triglycerides, which are packages. They're like sort of the trucks that carry fat in the bloodstream so that they can transfer it, because remember, fat and water don't mix, so they have a transport vehicle to help those fats. So is how you work with it, your movement, how you eat, how you live, all play an impact on your heart health. Of course, we do know that age and genetics play a role, family history and other things, but there's a lot that we can do for heart health. Can we help control inflammation? Absolutely. Can we help the responsiveness or the relaxation effect of our blood vessels? Absolutely. Can we help the resistance be less rigid and more flexible? Yes. And can we help our lipids get balanced in a way that is more stable rather than building up or in flux? Yes, we can. Can we do that only with lifestyle? That depends. Sometimes there's wonderful collaboration with your doctor if you need medical intervention, but that doesn't take away the lifestyle part of it. They work in tandem all the time. And this is because our physiology is dynamic. So this should feel empowering. I hope it does, because the way we move, it absolutely impacts our vascular flexibility and our sleep. Working on sleep, and eat well, move daily, be healthy. The sleep, it helps regulate inflammation. It helps regulate appetite hormones. It helps regulate blood sugar during the day after you wake. Working on stress management techniques, whether it's meditation, being in nature, a host of other, doing Tai Chi. It helps influence blood pressure and thereby our heart rate and heart health as well. And then there's our food. And today I just want to focus on a few foods. I want to keep this simple. Our food really shapes our environment in which all of this operates. And it is the thing that we do, most of us, 3 times a day or more in general. So it's where I want to spend a little bit of time. Years ago, I wrote about the idea of wearing red for Heart Health Month and eating red for heart health. And I think the language is pretty simple. And the science actually supports it. The science has become more refined, more robust, but the framework, eat red, works. So I'm going to give you some red foods to focus on. I'm going to expand that list just a little bit into the rainbow because I want you just to take a few things into your life this month so that you pay attention to them, you observe them, and hopefully you ingest them as well. So first of all, cherries. We love cherries. Cherries are a summer fruit, right? Yes, indeed. Fresh cherries, but tart cherries are also something that are harvested in summer. And unless you live in a region like Michigan, and I've had the pleasure because I have family there and I've met farmers up there. I have a dear, dear friend in Traverse City. Unless you've been there in the summer and you can actually get fresh tart cherries, you're going to mostly find them as dried tart cherries, also sometimes called Montmorency, as tart cherry juice. You'll find them frozen, but they're very fragile. And so most of them become minimally processed, like flash frozen or dried, so that they get into the food supply for us. Fresh, frozen, dried, what am I thinking? There's some concentrates. They are rich in anthocyanins. They are rich in certain compounds that are plant compounds that have been studied for their role in supporting blood vessel function, helping moderate inflammatory pathways, and help with our general heart health and also recovery in sport. They're also a source of melatonin, so they may help sleep, which also helps our heart. So there's a lot going on with cherries, and you can get them year-round. So how do we add them? Well, of course, we can add them to our oatmeal in the morning, another heart-healthy food we'll get to. Our yogurt, you can drink some juice or make a juice spritzer if you're doing sort of the dry or less alcohol in your life. It's a really colorful way to have a mocktail. I don't know if I like the word mocktail anymore. I think we need to come up with something else. It's cocktail that doesn't have alcohol in it, I guess. And of course, you can blend them into a smoothie. They're super practical. Trail mixes are great with dried cherries as well. Another food that's red, of course, maybe this comes top of mind to you, are tomatoes. Again, tomatoes, depends on what part of the country you live in. You might not be getting them at their peak ripeness in your area. But tomatoes are now widely available year-round. There's hothouse tomatoes. There's tomatoes that are shipped to you. But guess what? Tomatoes that are cooked, so the canned tomatoes, or processed in some way in sauces like pasta and pizza sauces, those are the ones that are the best sources of lycopene. Because lycopene, which is an incredibly important and powerful plant nutrient, it actually increases in concentration when heat is applied to it. So this is a great time of year, to have your tomato sauces, tomato paste, tomato in cans, the tomatoes that are, still semi-whole that you can put into dishes. And lycopene has been associated in large population studies with healthier cardiovascular outcomes. So when tomatoes are cooked and then paired with olive oil, I just want to add another heart healthy nudge there. Your body actually absorbs more of this lycopene. So nutrient synergy, I love to talk about it. You probably know that, is another way that we can get great nutrition in that impacts our heart. Another one is red grapes. Red grapes and berries. So let's look at berries as well. Strawberries, there's a lot of research on strawberries, raspberries, and red grapes. They are rich in polyphenols and other plant nutrients that help support vascular flexibility. They help healthy cholesterol metabolism. So keep some red fruits like grapes. And these are the ones that you rinse and pop, the ultimate poppables, I call them. Love blueberries for this reason too, but we're talking about red right now. But red grapes, strawberries, raspberries, rinse and eat. There's so many ways to consume them, but, keep them in your rotation on the regular. And just an idea about thinking about red as a guide this month. Since we're seeing red, we're wearing red, now we're eating red. But just a few more foods, because I want to make sure that we round out some of our staples in our diet that really have some strong cardiovascular impact. So we don't have to stick with just red, of course. Oats. I've already mentioned oatmeal, but they really deserve a place at the table. Oats can be integrated into things, ground into flours. They have soluble fiber, specifically beta-glucan. It helps regulate that LDL cholesterol, helps bring it down according to research. It influences how our bile acids are recycled over time. And over time, this helps support healthier cholesterol. Whether or not you're helping modulate it and moderate your intake in other ways, and if you're on a medication, oats in some way, shape, or form have lots of research supporting cardiovascular health. And oatmeal is frankly one of the easier breakfasts to produce and make in the morning. It's not super fancy, but it's a steady, balancing, great start to your day. Another one, nuts. I will do a whole episode about nuts at some point, but especially walnuts. But all nuts have shown to have, there's a lot of research on the cardiovascular benefits of nuts. In particular, they have unsaturated, polyunsaturated fats that have shown when they're swapped in for some saturated fats and that they help with the blood vessel flexibility. They also have fiber and they also have antioxidant nutrients. Some of them vary. Pistachios have lutein, the green. Walnuts have different polyphenols. And then walnuts in particular have the plant-based ALA, the omega-3 ALA. And that's the only nut with an excellent source of it. But all nuts are good for cardiovascular health. Certainly, it's a pantry staple that you can have all the time. It goes in things, on things, and you can even cook with them as well, and baked goods as well. They all help shift the lipid balance in a favorable direction for our heart. And a small handful is what's determined to be enough to start showing benefit. Couple more foods for you to remember. We've got the red, we've got the oats, we've got the nuts, fatty fish. You've heard this before probably, like salmon, but also sardines, trout, mackerel. They have the long chain omega-3s. And very often we hear about it for our brains, but especially and particularly for our heart, since we're talking about that. These fats literally incorporate into our cellular membranes. I probably mentioned this before, but years ago when I was working on some research, I remember that a faculty member said, the fat you eat is the fat you wear. And I thought, well, that's an odd thing to say to someone at first, that we don't want to be fat shaming people. The fat you eat is the fat you wear. What he really meant is he was talking about the cellular lining, which is called a phospholipid bilayer. And you can literally see what types of fats you eat in the diet. They become the types of fats that surround your cells. The fat you eat is the fat you wear. So this is an important thing. 2-ish servings a week is what has been shown for cardiovascular benefit. About 2 servings of fish a week. Reasonable target for most people. Some people eat more, but 2-ish servings a week is the recommendation. Leafy greens, I'm going to go to green for just a moment. Spinach, kale, arugula, romaine. They contribute vitamin K, which helps with normal clotting regulation, blood clotting regulation, the normal, healthy kind, and helps with our blood clotting to be healthy. Folate, they contribute as well, which helps regulate homocysteine balance as well. They have some potassium that helps with blood pressure support. And they have natural nitrates, which help our blood vessels relax. I mean, do we need another reason to eat our greens? Our nitric oxide, again, helps our blood vessels relax. Relaxation, isn't that great? It's good for circulation. And just 3 more here I'm going to talk about. Avocados, got to talk about that green, beautiful fruit. They bring in monounsaturated fats. They are a fruit that also has fiber and also has plant nutrients. So you get monounsaturated fats along with some potassium, and replacing butter or mayonnaise, according to some research, has seen some small but compounding effects for heart health. And so there's a lot of research on avocados and health, but including them on a regular basis on your avocado toast, which we're hitting the 20th anniversary of avocado toast as we speak this year. But on your avocado toast, on your sandwiches, replacing some of the butter or saturated fats in other areas, and just enjoying them with a spoon, which is one of the ways I like to enjoy them most, is a great approach. The final two are chia seeds and dark chocolate. So I wanted to end with a sweet treat there, even though dark chocolate's a little bitter. Chia seeds, you're seeing them show up in media. You're showing them in great, important ways because there's a lot of research. And probably the strongest research currently is on cardiovascular health. There's also research on diabetes risks, on brain health and cognition, on a variety of areas. But those tiny little seeds that take in a lot of water, when you soak them up to 12 times their weight, they may be tiny, but they are rich in plant-based omega-3s that I mentioned that walnuts have for cardiovascular health. They're a very good source of fiber. They have soluble and insoluble fiber, and they can support cholesterol balance, help stabilize blood sugar, and have shown to have overall heart health benefits and effects. And finally, that dark chocolate, 70% or higher is what is generally recommended, because when it's a lower percent, that means there's more of something else, which is typically sugar and fats. But the higher the dark chocolate, the more flavonols that are in there, which is a plant nutrient that supports endothelial function. So fitting chocolate in, is that a stretch for some of you? I doubt it. Intentionally, but it can fit beautifully into a heart healthy, heart smart, and heart supportive eating pattern. So what all ties this together is like the structure, the matrix of the food. We've got fiber that comes in to help regulate cholesterol. We've got the unsaturated fats to help with lipid balance, omega-3 fats in some of the foods, and in the fish in those forms, EPA, and in the plant-based forms like walnuts and chia. They influence the rhythm, inflammation, and other parts of our heart health. Polyphenols, which are antioxidants that help support our endothelial responsiveness. What else did I talk about? Potassium and nitrates that help regulate blood pressure and the relaxation effect in our vessel tone. So this isn't about chasing superfoods, though I've spoken about and written about the so-called superfoods before, but it's about maintaining flexibility in the system and in your diet. So I want to just bring this back to you. As you sit upright, we talked about posture in a recent episode, notice your breathing. Gently find your pulse at your wrist or neck. You've probably done that before. You take your two fingers together and you situate them underneath your jaw in the soft spot, or you can find your wrist pulse. And let's take 5 slow breaths together, where we take in and then we lengthen, we make longer our exhale. So it's not going to be a full mindful minute like we sometimes do. We're just going to sort of focus on this, but take some breaths in and out longer. In and out. Notice how your heart rate might be responding. It is for me. It'll shift, it might settle in leave it an extra beat at the end, and in and out, and one more. In, really let the last one linger. That adaptability on the spot, I wonder if it happened for you, is exactly what happens. It's our ability in an acute way, a day-to-day, a minute by minute. It's why heart health matters and why what you do matters. It's our ability to respond and recover. That is cardiovascular health in action. I don't know why I get sort of like emotional thinking about that. That was a moment I needed. Hope you did too. So our heart and our blood vessels are constantly adjusting to the environment. I hope that you can prove this to yourself as you enter through your day. When you move, you strengthen that adaptability. When you do exercise and strength training, you actually work on making that pump and the muscles that are associated with them stronger. When you eat to support vascular function and health, you reinforce it. And when you rest well, you protect it. So heart health influences much more than the heart itself. It affects every organ in our body. It touches everything, and it's foundational. So I hope you'll add some of these foods into your rotation. I hope you'll continue to move your body daily. I hope you'll breathe deeply and exhale and let that linger a little bit. And I hope you'll rest intentionally. So wearing red this month is a good thing because it might remind you also to match your foods to your outfits. And let it be a reminder like that. But build in patterns that also support that flow. So your heart is not just a symbol of love, though I love it for that reason, that very reason. I hope you give yourself some love through what you do for yourself and what you do for others and how you treat yourself through your food and your lifestyle supporting behaviors this month. And thank you for sharing some of your minutes with me today. If you found this episode helpful, I hope you did. Please, rate, write, share it with a friend. You can always find me at wendybazilian.com. I'm on Instagram at 1000 Waking Minutes. And I am just so grateful for you being here with me and this community that we're forming around making the most of our waking minutes each day. Eat well, move daily, be healthy. And until next time, be well. Thank you for tuning in to 1000 Waking Minutes. A huge thank you to our amazing collaborators, including our production and marketing teams, and Gabriela Escalante in particular. To the ultra-talented Beza for my theme music, my lifelong friend and artist, Pearl Price Photography and Design, to Daniel Ballantyne, Jen Nguyen, Joanna Powell, and of course my family, and everyone working tirelessly behind the scenes. And to you, our valued listeners, I so appreciate your support. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a comment, writing a review, and giving 1000 Waking Minutes, that's us, a 5-star rating. And please hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Please follow and stay connected at wendybazilian.com. And don't forget to share with your friends. Your support helps us grow and bring you more great content. Until next time, find some simple opportunities to optimize those 1000 waking minutes each day.
I'm saying yes to better days, yes, I'm on